Magie, the lost chapters of Beholgnar. Legend. Greatness, also known as the world of Murda, Beholder with the one world power and a capital named Beholgnar, is the last planet from the sun. The used to be coldest planet in the solar system, which is now inhabited by all the creation, separated by the greats and the wrongdoers, is one of the smallest of the solar system's terrestrial planets and not the only celestial body known to accommodate life. It is home to millions of species, including billions of humans who depend upon its recent life and created minerals. The planet Murda's human population is divided among about 200 independent states that interact through diplomacy, conflict, trade, travel, media, what is wrong and what is right. According to evidence from sources such as radiometric dating, Earth was formed around 4.5 billion years ago. Within its first couple of billion of years, life appeared creatively in its oceans and began to affect its atmosphere and surface, promoting the proliferation of aerobic as well as anaerobic organisms and causing the formation of the atmosphere's self-made ozone layer. This layer and Murda's magnetic field blocked the most life-threatening parts of the advanced technological breakthrough in the new creation of a sun and its radiation, so life was able to flourish on land as well as in water. Since then, Murda's position in the solar system, its physical properties, and its geological history had allowed life to persist. Greatness, Murda, or in other words, Mur's lithosphere, is divided into several rigid segments, or tectonic plates that migrate across the surface over periods of many and the well-manifested years. Over 70% of Murda's surface is covered with water, just like planet Earth after its fall to wrongdoing and other ordeals, with the remainder consisting of continents and islands, which together have many lakes and other sources of water that contribute to the hydrosphere. Murda's poles are mostly made and covered with ice, that is the solid ice, with its own Antarctic ice sheet, and the sea ice, that is the polar ice packs. The planet's interior remains active, with a solid, heated iron plate inner core, a liquid outer core that generates the magnetic field, and a thick layer of relatively solid mantle. Murda does not gravitationally interact with other objects in space, especially the sun, and does not have a normal moon. During one orbit around the sun, Greatness rotates about its own axis 166 times, creating 165 solar days, unlike Earth, or one sidereal year. The Murda's axis of rotation is tilted 70 degrees away from the perpendicular of its orbital plane, producing seasonal variations on the planet's surface with a period of one tropical year, 165 solar days. The abnormal moon is Murda's only natural satellite. It began orbiting the Murda about the same time as its creation. The moon's gravitational interaction with Murda stimulates ocean tides, stabilizes the axis tilt, and gradually slows the planet's rotation. During this period of creation had raised in powerful evil that had spread throughout the land, which had all started from its own source of life, the water. Whosoever drank the water had become possessed of wrongdoing, and the first one who did had ruled the land of wrongdoing ever since, the wrongdoing Tempest. Then, amongst the discovery of Murda and the water that bring wrong into the world, a power had come about a couple of royals, of which who had knew little of their very fates, but this is known, they had each taken up their own oaths to rid of evil. They would come to power as many different powers and defeat wrongdoing from the land of greatness and their hometowns forever. The power of three will, in the end, save Beholgnar and the world of Murda and rid of their planet from wrongdoings, as well as defeat the wrongdoing Tempest. Magie, Drna, and Albert are the power of three. Prologue. The beginning. A war had led all the kingdoms. The gore and bloodshed lied the scene. There were screams of agony throughout the land. A surprise attack, it truly was and had been unexpected. Many had died of their own disputes, and as high as the forest, as flames to be seen from different distances. There had been horror and negation everywhere until the power had come about a couple royals. They had no clue of their very face, but this is known. They had each taken up their own oaths to rid of evil. However, had they not a clue that they one day power together to save their homelands, they settled out and searched for their own justices and met each other along the way. Who are these powerful ones that save the night and the land, you ask? They are the power of three. The noble warrior. A warrior quickly scans a room. The room is patterned with bookshelves presenting great expensive goods. On a bookshelf to his left displays some skillful books and an agile longsword. The other side, to his right, on a different bookshelf, shows a potion assortment of many sums, shapes, and sizes. In the center of the plat lies an oak table with a candle lighting the entire surround escape. The three unusual candles look to doors, and a chandelier of the candle hangs above the table. The table appears to be made of some sort of timber, logged in shape. The tiles are tiled of wood and of various types, some unknown. Steel bars break each door as a divide into each room, even his thumbnails nimble and well-crafted. He begins to walk through the structure, approaching a head-on forward to a halt. Afterwards, he pulls his blade of steel sharp with shining, glimmer, and spangle. The angle of the glow sets just perfectly off its steel heart from the candle's shimmer. Morally, with authority, he appears in all adequate armor. When he turns to face the iron handle with the standard keystroke of the not-your-normal wood door, and with speedy expertise, he inhales deeply, sounding about his entrance with the thump of each beat of his royal strong heart. The knob turns, and the unimaginable leaves his right plate polder into battled stance, dodging a fast, searing ball of flame. His training is hard, but his practice is experted by it. He strikes with what is no other word than a critical hit. It appears to be he struck a skeletal sorcerer being standing hunched and prepped. He swings again with the expertise of an athlete, dropping the skeleton and reporting back to his belonging, ready for service, sworn to an oath. Thus, with all that he does and trains for, makes him not only a noble, but also a warrior. Trouble in Beholgnar's Cove. The sight of a guard, tall and disciplined, catches their hood sight. The princess was still where she had left her a day ago after a renewed arrival. Magie, did you get what I asked for? Yes, it is right here. She held it a moment and said, Indeed, it is a tiger fish. This is by far the smallest catch, but it will do. Okay, Magie, you fulfilled your end of the bargain, and now I would complete mine. Alyssa Cunningham is whom you seek an audience with. She speaks the shore's language. Wait, and before you go, I do have one more favor to ask of you. This favor is the utmost greatest importance. Beholgnar is in danger. There is more than rumor going around, and Magie, I'm afraid you will not be able to do this alone. Here, take my finest warrior and go. The Spirit in the Shores of Titus. Magie had exited to the afternoon sunburn. A letter had been wedged in her pocket. It reads, Thank you for responding to my letter, Magie. I am Lady Brute. Let me put on the affairs. The spirit of King Brute has went out of control. The spirit is trying to communicate with Titus. He will occasionally attack the people with vengeance in his appearance, but that is only a rumor if I had ever heard of any. If you are ever near the shores, do not say anything about Frontier Hold. You are certainly to be on his revenge list. It would be more than grateful, and you can see why he's gone so mad. The cause behind his torment is behind us all. I do not know of the royal family of the frontier or any other person would tally more suspicion. The major powers of the shore are Frontier Hold, Ballspire, Castle Myra. And you should start there. I hereby forfeit my own power, and my life is now compromised. I am in danger. Do not mention our conversation to anyone. It is more than likely to get us killed. Good luck, and great blessings into your travels, Magie. The Shipwreck. A bodily stench left them standing, along with the name she received from her mother Maggie since the beginning. Magie, welcome to Beholgnar's Cove. Beholgnar is the name of the sword and shield merchant in town. Travelers all throughout Everwind say that a girl named Magi and her grandparents, Beholgnar and Ursa, started making swords and shields there long before there was even a single home to be seen about. And, from the way they tell it, she would not hesitate to ever question the words about it either. There are other questions she was sure that would come to her attention. A lady had asked her how she had come so far with the name Versilla, and she began to explain to her in detail. It went as follows. My father Will is an ironworker overseas in the canyon. A war broke out between Candlewick folk and Candlewick slave farmers. The slave farmers had overseen victories because the canyon's walls were still under construction from the just previous war with Darius's regiment. My father Talus had then entrusted me with a shipment that was of new item mold, and he guaranteed it would bring me to safety. I say a long while I was on ship, having little to eat, and a nasty storm blew in. The storm had battered my father's ship and wound me ashore here at this merchant with the castle, and with that not being all of it, I was asked by you how I had got here. Interesting. Well, I'll be on my way, young child. The old woman had then left. The day had progressed a good 3 hours, and she hasn't even had a bite to eat. What to do without any place to stay except on her father's ship with a shipment. A fishing line hit the water. Lunch is going to be great. Aldor in the magic book. There was a merchant at first step. A handicraft door overlay the setting as high as the top of her mage's hat. The image is tattered, gleaming of the midday sun. A clearing appears with a voice that had said, "The merchant will now see you." Great! We have been waiting since morning broke sunlight beyond the forest of the dead. Albert, your highness, yes? The merchant had requested to speak with you privately on the spirit. Okay, oh. Wait, you're a prince, I asked? Yes, I am a prince, Magie. Why did you not tell me you were a prince? Because, Magie, the matter of my being royalty was not important. I do mind you, we were sent here to see why the spirit has gone so mad, not to discuss an introduction. True, I will now speak with you. Magie, you are free to do as you wish, and take this book of magic. I hope this helps you with your stutter, and Godspeed you, I shall return. An unexpected catch. The view is amazing and far out. The waves of Titus's shore had sound the city dirt roads. There are few rock pebbles for her to trip upon, and if she is not to be careful, she will fall on one. The door to Amelia's gear opens with a much more than awful creak. The sight of wares hid her golden brown eyes blindly. Wow, a sword hung clearly above an oak-built table and a couple handcrafted chairs. The glare so bright that beat the sun incoming from the side window edge. I have to say, Afrin, this is a really nice sword mold. It shined of steel and stayed natural to a perfect display. How much? Meanwhile, Alden was telling Albert his tale about how the merchant had started with Amelia's grandparents when he said, "That one, it's not for sale." "Why not? It's on display," she asked. "Because it belonged to Titus the shore spirit." "Okay," she said shortly after, darting back to the door, planning an exit from any more displays that were not for sale. The wind still blew strong into the east as the way back to the ship was not far nor unreachable. The boat hailed shipwreck afloat on shore just offset of Amelia's house, made of log and wood and carefully chopped shingle chippings. The language of Titus in using magic. She had spoke. I had read the book. The use of magic is now clear to me. I had learned my first spell, Fireball. I had also practiced many others. They were Ice Bolt, Unlock, Tangle, Spell Drain, Negotiation, Drain Help, Dispel Curse, Create Armor, Mage's Ball, Catch Spirit, Reflect Spell, Silence, Drain Magic, Dispel, Shield, Heal Other, Heal Attributes, Lock, Far Silence, Teleport, Spell Resistance, Speak, Shock, Absorb, Cure All, Firestorm, Sheep Target, Fortify Attributes, Lightning, Paralysis, Levitate, Ice Storm, Deep Freeze, Spell Shield, Mage's Fire, Drain Skills, Light, Regenerate, and Polymorph. The stutter of Magie had been no more. She had leveled to a magician in one single night. The power of her mother infused her very existence. The will of her father ran through her, and she became not only fast, but able to hit any target. And with that being so, she had also mastered skill to fish for her own food. No one before had done this. She received Princess's blessings and gained Aldor as a companion for permanent travels. The morning is young, and the day is already victorious. Magie's first battle. A spell is casted, the sound of it echoes. An intelligent antithesis stays his guard ready for battle willfully. A chain of lightning streams magically from Magie's fingers, while intellectually another spell is carefully prepared and readied. A searing ball of fire shows the room and explodes, critically wounding Aldor. An ever-ending pool of magic is then fortified. The source flows easily within her. A longsword swings, striking the plate helm of Aldor again. Swiftly and near death, while fairly agile, the sparring ends with a conjured touch of destruction. The battle is over! The battle is over! Magie had won her first match. Aldor had promoted her to group leader. The day is great and the night is not far, although for Aldor it was an upset. Great match, Magie. Thanks, and you weren't bad yourself. I had you, Magie. Yeah, you did up until I paralyzed you. True, you did. Magie and Aldor shook hands. Shortly after heading back to the ship, they had fell asleep top deck. The morning was now on their new agenda. The Titus catch. There was starlight still in the atmosphere. Aldor and Magie had been up consciously. They had been discussing the frontier and telling each other jokes for a good laugh. They had just adjusted to the night when they heard the noise. Arrgh! Arrgh! Aldor, did you hear that? Hear what, Magie? That! Another moan echoed the boat. Arrgh! What is that? I don't know. You think it's Titus? It's a possibility, Magie. Shh! You might make him mad, Aldor. Silence filled the air in sequence shortly after and seemed to be in to Aldor when he came to exactly midnight. They had scurried the boat looking for where the moan had come from when it happened again. This time it was even louder. Oh! It's getting closer, Aldor. Relax, Magie. Besides, how bad can this thing be? Ah! Aldor had screamed like a kitten that had just been spooked. Magie had found herself a new item robe behind a new item crate, and with both of them up on little sleep, the imaging of a ghost was the last thing they could imagine seeing. Cast the spell, Magie. The spell? Yes, the spell. Magie reviewed her magic book in search for catch spirit. The starlight had dissipated and went on under the unusual clouded covers when a spectrum appeared before their imaginations. Magie, yes? Hold on, Aldor, I'm looking for the spell. Hurry, Magie. Shamlan des Stadiacha. A presentation of heavenly light surrounded him. The spirit had disappeared. A voice gave its gratitude to them both and vanished. The sky cleared to its full extent, and the night had reimbursed itself in the morning. The sun had hardly peaked atop of the trees, and from the forest, a sense of normality stilled the new beginning of a new day in Beholgnar. We must see the princess, Magie. The Beholgarian war and the new preparations. Inside the castle was like it was when we seen it for the first time. The walls were gray, bricked and etched from the dry, hot sun. There were no pictures, but the candles were made of the royals of solid silver. The doors on the inside were the same as the outer entrance and made of a fine dead oak material. The handles, well, they were of oak as well, within silver finish. Princess, we have Titus caught by spirit. Let me have him. Here. Are you sure this is Titus? Yes, Your Highness, I'm sure, Aldor said. All right. I will be sure to free his spirit in the royal crypt. Now, there is another matter with Beholgnar I need to address with you both. We noticed a fleet of Garrus's men headed our way. They will reach this castle before sunup. They must be stopped. You would be amazed what he plans on doing with the kingdom, and if he has a hold of the kingdom, nothing would stop him from taking over all of greatness. Please, prepare at once. The attack unfolds first thing in the morning. The night had been short, and the moon had been half full showing. The gates and doors were braced and secured with anything to be found. Archers, warriors, and magicians were readied with weapons, armor, and artifacts were given to those who needed them. The morning soon after was close to being, and the preparations were finished. The war is coming, and I want you all to defend your princess. Defend me, my people, and I promise you plenty to eat. I promise you peace and harmony for eternity, with plenty to eat and plenty to borrow. Princess, yes. Now we wait. The tempest of wrongdoing. He is purely evil. He stands approximately 7 feet tall. His weight props out to be more than 250 pounds. The presence of him isn't his strongest trait either. His strong man's acts of evil is his most fearful piece of the battle with skill sets that amongst the gods. His battle leadership is unmatched in the Holy Land of Greatness. The unholy land of greatness, the land is a land outer and ridden of Eden and other territories of greatness. It is a dark, scary, and otherwise horrifying place full of oblivion. The land is ruled by a name named Rigamarola, who is the son of his tempest. and he is the tempest of wrongdoing. Where are we at? The camp is now packed away in a traveler's man's sack. The once lit fire and ostrich feast now gone. Everything was to the word of taken into consideration. We shall be moving, Magie. I know, Magie had said. This way. The hike was what it was of being, a hike. Where are we? We are in the ruins of Garmont and approaching the waters of Eden. Why are we headed to Eden? Because, Magie, we have to speak to Symmetra once more to find out how we can make peace with the unholy Tempest. I see. The walk had hiked mountains, creeks, over and through rivers, paths, and finally had said, we are here. The long story short, Symmetra, there was a faint look that had caught Magie in the eye of contact. Symmetra, there you are. I told you I was here. I know, Magie had said. You have come to ask me something? Yep. What may I help you with? Albert and I need to know exactly what we need to do and how we can make peace with the unholy Tempest. Well, she said, you have come to the right place. She had continued as follows. You must over the hills of Eden. You must cross the great lakes of greatness. You must march the marsh of unholy grasses. And you must find a flaming gate of fire. Then you shall make peace. Okay, Magie confirmed. The night had came alive with the moon change and the occasional star sights. Magie and Albert had rested their well-needed rest in the fact that they knew that the morning was going to be long, settled, and another strong hike. The morning had now been depending on the night's overpassing. The Hills of Eden. It was morning, and it had been summoned on notice by Magie and Albert after being awake already up the trail of the Hills of Eden. The smell they had each smelt was along with them in a way that had more than one blossom up and out of their sinuses and noses following a sinus congestion. Are you sick? Keep moving. I was only asking, Albert. Do not let my sick be your sick. Move. They had hiked and walked and swam. This is it. What is? We have climbed the Hills of Eden. The great lakes of greatness. The afar had been reached. The grounds were sanded and hard to travel. The lake is only passable by a log and a tie rope. Soaked, all that Magie and Albert was. Each lake was huge and long, although a couple were apparently what seemed to be shorter. How much farther, Albert? Cannot tell. My armor is wearing me down. It had viewed and was anew a swamp. The scene had lilipads and belching frogs. Great! Yep, we're past the great lakes of greatness. The marsh of unholy grasses. The belching had continued and was consistent. Magie and Albert had hopped lilipads one after another. Every now and then a black bear was seen. Will we ever make it? Hang in there, Magie. I see a flaming gate, Albert. Where? Over there. Could it be that we have made it? We have made it. Narrator. Peace now be with thee. Leave at once, Magie. Drna, the power of greatness and the evil underdread. The introduction of Drna. An iron flail I hold in my hands. It is seen of the crafted and made by the fingers of some unverified craftsman. I am entirely fitted in plate, and it is well made of iron unknown. I hold no morals with any subject or magistrate, nor am a knight sworn to an oath. I wear a one-horned helm of leather, and my boots are identically the same. I follow the very footsteps of another I had admired throughout childhood and training. The man I admired is a servant to his underdread. Underdread, the leader of the dreads, is said to by all the villagers to be a man of many evil doings, and it is also said you should never trust such a man. There is another rumor that he has another name that no one should ever speak of. The rumor is that his other name is a curse, and if ever used, it will forbind you to his services. Drna, are you ready? Ready? Oh yeah, I almost forgot about Mom's wake. We must hurry, or we may be late. I know, and don't forget how your mother had died. I know, exactly as Lady Mithra did when she had a bad heart. Meanwhile, while Drna was getting ready, his admirer, the Spirit Finder, was willing up his way from Dread's servitude. He had somehow distinguished an artifact that can block Dread's dangerous hexings and managed to free himself from his curse. And with him now being freed of under Dread, there is even bigger chances to bring good doings back into the land of greatness. This is good news, Your Holiness. It is. It is indeed. The death of Magie. The death of Mother and her wake had consumed most of the morning. Father and I had been homesick. Our home is a deserted place half the time and is elegantly filled with the unusual furnishings of the day and age. Our couch is a homey sitting arrangement and has a leather appearance. A dinette table overlooks the kitchen and is of solid forest wood, and a bookshelf lies to the left of all the displays against the deserted wall, exquisitely made. My room is upstairs and is no different than the rest of the house, and Father's room is downstairs and nearly the same as my own, where him and Mother used to sleep. The morning had split itself into afternoon. The ride on horseback on the trail had been an hour or two before they had reached the village again with a sign that had said, "Welcome to Shrine's Peak." Shrine's Peak is a cozy place, and its overall purpose is to act as a harbor for villagers passing through the land of greatness. A mark had imbued about a candle and was hung specifically for healing and protection. Drna's father had always used artifacts and jewelry because he said they had enormous powers versus the undead. Ready to learn, Drna? Yeah, I'm ready. Then let the ceremony begin. The ceremony is a ritual when a mortal becomes a priest. Its sole meaning is its practice, the practice of prayers. Drna and his father had practiced 6 months and 7 days. The ritual had been long and required lots of endurance and restoration. His intelligence grew higher and higher in each day. The practice of prayers had paid off and had made him ever more willful to practice even harder. You are now a priest, Drna, and I hereby worthy you of the power of greatness. There is a potential inside of all of us, Drna. What is potential, Siege? Potential is our capabilities. Whichever we are capable of is our total capability. Am I capable? I don't know, Siege. The power of greatness is not compatible by all. Why not? Because, Drna, you must be capable of using its powers in order to wield its capabilities. Can I try, Siege? Sure. Take the Book of Holiness and hold it in thy hands. Drna had taken the book. The symbiosis was familiar to him as it was before his mother had died. The book glued to a white fiery light, and his armor became holy with its power. What is this I feel, Siege? The power of greatness, Drna. Am I capable, Siege? Yes, you are, Drna. You definitely are. It had been hours since Drna held the book in his hands. I found your Bloodchild, Your Holiness. You did? Yes, I did. Where is he? I will not tell you where he is. And why not? Because he is my own son. The legend of the Bloodchild. There was a darkness that had filled the night many of years ago. The land was tormented by its evil doings and was almost unchangeable. Gore lied in the streets of every town, but in one, and it was a small village. The village had received its secreted name after its secrecy, the Secret. Since it was a secret, it was named the Secret Cove and was sworn to be protected by His Holiness's knights. The Secret Cove was built by His Holiness, and its sole purpose is to age as a sanctuary for the birth of His children, so that no mortal or soul can know of it. It was roughly around the first seed. The baby was born, and it had left His Holiness weak, and His Holiness knew it would take days to recover from his child's birth. After the baby was born, the Dreads had found out His Holiness's plans. They were infuriated by them and had discovered where he might have been hiding him. The night of the birth, the Dreads had attacked the village. His Holiness was too weak to fight them off. The child was then kidnapped by his Underdread, and he knew if they were to get a hold of his blood-related predecessor, that they would one day bring evil doings back into the land of greatness. Although there was a twist, and the Dreads were ambushed, the baby was then taken to Shrine's Peak to a man named Siege, who had then raised the little boy up as his own. No one had a clue where the child had been taken that night. Some had even sworn his very death and never to return. The ghost of greatness. There was a whisper into a villager's ear. It had said, "Look, over there, is that the Spirit Finder?" "Yes, that is the Spirit Finder." "Hey, Spirit Finder!" The encounter had lasted only a moment and then had went silent. The hooded man the villagers had described had vanished before their very own eyes. "He was there, I swear it. Yeah, it was not even a half an hour ago when we seen him. Where could he be?" The search. The search for the hooded man had continued. The regiment, led by Underdread's sidekick, Goffrey, had taken a personal note to where the villagers say that the so-called Spirit Finder might have gone. The tracking equal to hours of scrimmaging and had somewhat found itself in the circles. This cannot be right. What do you mean? We must be headed in the wrong direction. But, sir, our bloodhounds are the best trackers of greatness. I know they are, you Pume. Yes, sir. He has to be around here somewhere. But, sir, the hounds say hounds nothing. But, sir, search the entire continent. I want him found. I will never be a dread. Goffrey's men had been led to a cave deep within the woods of greatness. A torch lit the cave and had taken place deep within its depths. What was that? I don't know, sir. Well, what are you standing around for? Find out. Yes, sir. Goffrey's men had scoured every rock until they had reached a clearing that had been of the scent of their bloodhound's nose's detection. We found something, sir. A swift footing had Goffrey's men off guard. There was nowhere to go and nowhere to escape. Stop! I will never be a dread. And then, without warning, the voice had diminished, and there was no sign of any mortal or any man. Where did he go? I don't know, sir. An unexpected return. The night had viewed silent to Goffrey's men and had been almost normal since Goffrey had begun his regiment. Goffrey and his men had set up camp at the refugee cave. The moon was full and the stars were a-glowing ever bright. The night was of no better word than perfect. There were no birds chirping, only an owl hooting at an end on dead tree. It was an average night until, "Call off your men, Goffrey. What are you going to do? I'm warning you, Goffrey." A swift breeze blew aside the cavern's entrance. The bushes shook of many rodents. "What is this?" "It's the end of the road, Humphrey." "I'll decide that, Spirit Finder. We'll see." A shout alarmed the bushes. A bunch of men of many numbers charged along the cave alongside the camp. Swords clinged and clanged together, and bloodshed unshaded the soiled mess. A long hour of slashing and hacking had led to a victory for His Holiness, and Goffrey had been slain by the hands of the Spirit Finder. "Finally, I have your spirit, Goffrey, and with your spirit, I can now defeat Dread and his wrongdoings from the land of greatness forever." An end to Underdread. The screams of Goffrey's men had filled the dusk of morning's first Sunday. "Where's Underdread, you nasty little dread?" "I don't know where he is." "He lies, Spirit Finder." "Where is he, or I'll separate your left toe." "I don't know." "All right, he wants to play hard. Cut off his toe, Knight." "Wait, you win. He's not far up the trail, just over the mountain of the dreads." "I see. We attack at nightfall." The Spirit Finder and his men had followed the trail up the mountains. The afternoon had fell upon them as soon as they had reached the Underdread's hideout. "We camp here till sundown." The night had came to life to Spirit Finder and his men long after the battle plans were made. "Guards can take the right flank here along the side of the fortress. Knights, you take the right. The Spirit Finder will take the middle and begin the battle." All had been underway. They had all taken their positions. "Underdread!" There was no answer. "Underdread!" It had seen of the abandoned, and the fortress had stood still when, "Charge!" The unexpected had become the expected. The Spirit Finder had reacted quickly and shouted, "Flank!" and all the men had entered into battle. The battle had presumed itself to be a great month of non-stop action, and his Underdread was nowhere to be defeated. "You will die by my sword, Underdread." "Ha ha! You believe I will be defeated." Dread's men had begun to weaken. Many had died of malnutrition and by his Underdread's wrongful doings. Another month had passed, and all the Dreads ceased to live. Underdread was the last to stand of the Dreads. Surrender, Dread! Never! Then you will die by my sword. He swung his brightened blade covered in blood hard and fast. A slice of victory had overcame his spirit. Underdread's body had dropped to the mountain. Drna, the power of greatness in the new assignment. This is just the beginning. Drna's iron flail is getting a fix. It is still crafted and well on its way to be an even greater one. How can this be? How can what be, Drna? How can it be that greatness is not saved? Well, as I told you before, Drna, the power of 3 shall come again, and I know it. I know, but no buts, Drna. The day was dwindled and was mostly spent at a crafting wheel at the local Beholgnar tradesman's tent that had recently found its way in with a man named Siege. Siege is a crafter that crafts and mends the finest of all weapons in all the land of greatness. No one, and I mean no one, would have any other crafter craft their weapon if it were up to choice on who should craft them. It would be Siege. Magie, over here, huh? I would like to speak with you. Drna was shocked and humiliated by his male-dress, and had just met his own match, and it happened to be a woman. Albert, this way. They will be your new companions, Drna. New companions? That is correct. It is now or never. Drna had mingled with his new friends. There was nothing that had been left behind. Not even their own personal travel stories. Ours it is what had surpassed their telling each other. Wow, are you serious, Albert? Yes, I am. Wow, you really defeated Garrus and his men, Drna. Yep. The day was almost over, and had a thought in the air for the local inn and bar around the corner, and it was how the night had ended. You awake, Albert? Magie, aside it all, with no answer, had whispered a little louder. Albert! What? Do you know where Master Surge is going to send us tomorrow? Nope. Do you? I just asked you that question. Well, then no, I don't. The Fortress of the Land Spirit. Master Surge began to speak. He spoke. A fortress! Can any of you tell me what one is? Well, a fort? Close. A large fortified place. A fort or group of forts, often including a town, citadel, or just any place of exceptional security. Stronghold. Correct. Fortifications are military constructions or buildings designed for the defense of territories and warfare, and also used to solidify rule in a region during peacetime. Humans have considered defensive forts for many of years in a variety of increasingly complex designs. From very early history to modern times, walls have been a necessity for cities to survive in an ever-changing world of invasion and conquest. Some settlements in the Indus Valley civilizations were the first cities. They were very small in comparison to later major cities to be fortified. These constructions mainly served the purpose of a watchtower to guard certain roads, passes, and lands detrimental to the kingdom. Though smaller than a real fortress, these constructions acted as a border guard rather than a real strong point to watch and maintain the border. The art of setting out a military camp or constructing a fortification traditionally has been called castramentation. Fortifications is usually divided into two branches, permanently fortification and field fortification. There is also an intermediate branch known as semi-permanent fortification. Castles are fortifications which are regarded as being distinct from the generic fort or fortress, in that it describes a residence of a monarch or a noble and commands a specific defensive territory. Forts and hill forts were the main antecedents of castles according to the future palm and oil readings of Lady Miracle. The fortress of the land spirit is the same in concept, but what you three will be dealing with is beyond reeds of thy lady's reeds. Any questions? Good. Then you will find due to the north 150,000 kilometers. 150,000 kilometers? Yep, good luck and blessings to you. Well, the three are blessed and skilled by the luck of Magie. The journey. Magie, Albert, and Drna had begun their journey. First was through the forest of the dead, all the way up till they reached the firing mountains of Tuabia. Tuabia, located 800 kilometers south, was a volcano at one time and was the most deadliest. Now is the flamingos that approximate over 1,000 eruptions yearly. What is this place? The mountains of the firing gizmozos. It is hot up here. Yep, Albert. Confirmed. I heard the degrees hit to be 150. Yeah, it does get hot, Albert. Be careful, Magie. I will. The days have settled to nightfalls after a nightly rain, then a re-happening again during the daytime. All was well, and their move was steady until they had seen it. Is that the fortress? Where? There. Do you see the fort amongst those clearings, Drna? Yep, I see it. Then we should be there soon. Everyone, be careful. We are here. The fortress stands a whopping 12 feet tall. All sides are the same and made of a distinctive rock mud that was dried to make the structure they are staring at. The gates were different, however, and not made of the rocked mud, but with the largest oak lumber tree in all greatness. Supposedly, they figured the wood had to came from the forest. There are no other wooded structures than the ones made of the forest, are there, Albert? Nope. I hear the forest is the only steadfast place to get lumber in these parts, Drna. Indeed it is, Magie. Indeed it is. Everyone, be prepared. The land spirit and Magie's second catch. The fortress was incredible, and the view was like no other. A few owls had scaled the air following Magie, who was not on the prowl. Drna and Albert dared not to get in her way. They knew better. Magie, already having the shore spirit, was well on her way to getting the land one as well. Roar! You can get him, Magie. You got him. Deste diva la donka. The spirit had appeared as a rock form and was of Golem's sight. Catch him, Magie. Este la diancha. Magie's book had grew to a shining lighted diamond with light formation sprouting everywhere. The spirit had begun to speak. The spirit spoke. You shall have me. You shall lead me. No other shall capture me. It is you who shall guide my fate. The spirit had blew bright to a sculptured angel candle. Then, with great notice, disappeared. This is only two spirits, Drna. What shall we do, Magie? Must find the last one.